a strong ally of Putin and a strong opponent of the Ukrainians and their attempt to fight off Russia's incredibly aggressive invasion and all the atrocities that they've committed. What does it say, Sam, about Donald Trump, that this is the guy that he not just is supporting, but loves, that looks as a model for, where we should be in the United States? What does that say, Sam?
That is not good stuff.
It is awful. It is horrendous. We have never seen a president of the United States in our long history embracing as a model a foreign authoritarian who is allied, at least tacitly, if not explicitly, with one of America's major adversaries. This is absolutely unique, and it has not been reported nearly enough. It has not been analyzed nearly enough as an explicit, this is a blueprint, a model, a set of requirements of what Trump would like to impose on the United States. And he's obviously moved very much in that direction, trying to rig the midterm elections with his phony SAVE Act, I call the Sacrifice Act, his executive orders, cracking down on the media, trying to manipulate institutions of education and culture like the Smithsonian, adopting a Hungarian-style opposition to immigration. So not only has he held up this horrible authoritarian, Viktor Orban and his regime, as a model, we could see all the ways in which he is moving in the direction of turning the United States horrifically into another Hungary.
I want to give people a couple election updates. So what do we? Another reason we care about this election is because this is shaping up to be the biggest challenge to Viktor Orban in 16 years. So he became prime minister in the year 2000, I believe.
2010.
Yes. You sure?
Yeah, 16 years.
Right. 2010. Sorry, not the year 2000. That'd be 26 years. 2010. And polling agencies are sort of showing different outcomes, but with trends favoring the opposition TISA party, which would be a Viktor Orban loss. So a lot of people are thinking that this could be a Viktor Orban loss. Another pretty big election update. The Election Commission of Hungary reports that this year has shown record high voter turnout.
That's probably good for the opposition well. It almost always is. You don't generally get record turnout to support a regime that's been around for 16 years. That's pretty unlikely,
right?
You would think. But remember, the opposition has to win big because of all the ways in which Orban has stacked the electoral system. They call it a Byzantine system. It's so complicated, but he stacked it in his favor.
Right.
So they're saying, and again, it's not me, it's the experts who really are experts in Hungarian politics, saying that TISA has to win by at least 5% or maybe more. It can't be an eyelash victory.
77% of eligible voters have cast their vote. That's pretty incredible.
That, wipes out our turnout.
Yeah, especially compared to the U.S.
We're about 60%. So, they're way ahead of us. And I would think that's a good sign for the opposition. I also understand there have been reports of election irregularities perpetrated by the regime. I don't know how significant they are, or, if they're consequential in terms of the results, but it does show, in my view, a sign of desperation on the part of this authoritarian, inclined, pro-Putin regime.
Right. I'm getting up the Hungarian some of the data they've put up on their website, which we can see here.
Who's they?
This is the Hungarian government's election data website.
Gotcha.
So you can see here over time, when they opened at 7 a.m., they close, I think, in 30 minutes.
I Thought they close now at
What's
1
18?
o'clock,
What's 18:30? That's
1:30.
yeah. So
So they're not quite closed
I
yet?
don't think they're quite closed yet.
Okay.
But you can see the trend going up, up, up throughout the day, and a lot of people trying to get their votes in at the end of the day. You can see voter turnout by region. Budapest having the highest voter turnout at
Not a
80%.
surprise.
But you can see, I mean, look how dark green the country is. I mean, the whole country basically turned out to vote here.
When do polls close in Hungary?
I think that's all the information they've put out so far. What's it saying?
I'm looking. I don't know why it's been like pulling teeth to find any information about this election.
It's
really strange.
Nobody really speaks Hungarian, so it's
I
probably
guess not.
it's probably hard to. Although
It says 7 p.m. local time.
Okay.
That's from yesterday. Maybe they've extended it. Who knows?
I don't know. This is just a chart. Maybe they just extended the chart to 18:30. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Let me check something else.
You know, this is what steams the hell out of me
What?
about the mainstream media.
What?
Guess what they call Orban?
What?
A populist.
Oh.
He is not a populist.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is not a populist. This is the New York Times, who you'd think would know better. They are the opposite of populists. I repeat, not only are they not populists, they are the opposite of populists. We had a whole show on that. Populists were a movement of ordinary workers and farmers to challenge, not to support, the wealthy and the big corporations in late 19th century America. They supported things like regulation of business, control over means of transportation and communication, the progressive income tax, things that were anathema to the kind of interest that Orban and Trump support. They are oligarchs. They are not populists. They are the opposite of populists. And I cannot understand why, as sophisticated, as important as an outlet like the New York Times should insist upon calling them populists. You know, it's a tremendous disservice to the people of the United States and the people of the world, not only to mislabel them, but to label them in exactly the opposite way of what they actually represent. If I get heated about this, there's a good reason for it. How long have I been screaming about this, Sam?
Long time ago.
Long time.
I can still remember how Allan used to scream about populism. How's that?
Yes.
The polls in Hungary are closed. It is official. The polls, I repeat, in Hungary are closed. I want to go back over this chart because I think I was not understanding it correct. So at 7 a.m., only 3% of the population vote. This isn't how many voted
This
per
is
time.
over
This
time.
is over time. So by this time, over 77% of the population had voted. That's about 5,800,000 votes. Only 1.6 million approximately didn't vote. So
That's astounding.
yeah,
As I said, they're at 78%. We're at about 60.
right.
And, what's supposed to be the world's greatest democracy.
And you can see this is the whole country by region. Budapest, the capital region, has the highest turnout at 80% of eligible voters voting. But even the lowest county, Zala County here, had almost 80%. Oh, this isn't in order, actually. But my point is the whole country is
It's
in
pretty
green.
much uniform.
Yeah, it's pretty much all in green, basically.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any below 70.
I don't see
think any.
This is the lowest one I see. No, 7. Borsod
Oh, we know that place well.
Zemplin County is at 71.9%.
So nothing below 70.
Nothing below 70 in terms of the turnout.
That's astounding.
And again, we're thinking that's probably good news for the opposition party.
You would think. Now,
Now,
we know that Orban has no respect for democracy whatsoever.
right.
And he's, set up a system that is at least somewhat rigged in his favor, but not guaranteed. So the big question, will the vote count be fair?
Right.
I can't answer that. I'm not an expert in Hungarian politics, far from it. And at this point, I haven't seen any outlets suggesting, including international, like Reuters and others, BBC, suggesting that the count will be manipulated as opposed to the system being manipulated. Two very
Right.
different things.
Right.
So at this point, we need, at least until we hear something to the contrary, we should at least for the moment believe that the count is going to be fair. But I wouldn't put anything past this guy.
We have over 1,800 people watching, but only 200 likes. Make sure you like the stream. It helps us a lot. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and turn on that notification bell so you know when we're live.
And don't forget donors.
Members
Yeah.
and donors, yes.
We're way behind on donations, and it really would help us.
So here is a quick report on some of that irregularities or that you were speaking to. So government figures appear to imply voting irregularities. This is from a reporter named Jakub Krupa. They say, keep an eye.
Sounds like he might know or something about Hungarian politics.
They say, keep an eye on the Fidesz leadership's reaction to tonight's results. When asked this week, Viktor Orban and his aides repeatedly suggested they would be prepared to concede if the opposition won the vote, even as they maintained their confidence in securing another term. However, in the last few hours, a number of senior figures made comments that appear to question the integrity of the electoral process, with government spokesman Zoltan Kovacs posting about, quote, alleged, quote, attempted election fraud linked to the Tiza party.
Who does this sound like, Sam?
Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, I mean, it's right out of the Trump playbook. I only accept results if what, Sam?
I win.
If I win. If I lose, it's got to be illegitimate. So while the count may be fair, Orban may not accept
Right.
the results, and God knows, that where that would leave the Hungarian people.
Yeah.
We might have another Hungarian revolution.
When was the last Hungarian revolution?
1956 was the big Hungarian revolution.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that, to be honest with you.
That was one of the first anti-Soviet revolutions, and it was brutally put down by the Soviets with thousands of deaths and exiles.
Right.
One of the exiles was an old friend of mine, Charlie Benivesi.
No, that's a made-up name.
Yes. No, it's not. Benivesi.
That's a made-up name.
And as we used to call him, Korchi.
Okay, that's just a nickname, right?
That's the nickname.
I want to thank George Politis for your donation. Colette3241 says, Viktor Orban is seen as a populist because he claims to represent the people against elites and outsiders using strong nationalistic rhetoric.
He claims, right?
Right.
So does Trump. Claim, but that's not what they actually represent.
Right.
You don't accede to what they claim when there's no truth to it.
Right. So I wanted to show you, Dad, what the prediction markets are doing. Are you interested in that right now?
I am.
So the prediction market currently has Peter Magyar, the opposition Tiza party leader, at 89% chance of becoming the next prime minister of Hungary. Viktor Orban is only at 13%. So the prediction markets seem to be heavily favoring the opposition party and Peter Magyar.
I think they're seeing the same thing we are.
What are we seeing?
The turnout.
Right.
That when you get that kind of extraordinary turnout, it usually is not a good sign for the ruling party.
Right. He's been.
It's not a guarantee.
Magyar has been leading in the prediction market for a while.
He's been way ahead in the polls too.
Right.
Whatever. I don't know. How accurate the polls are in Hungary, but there are a lot of them, and they're all saying the same thing except the government-sponsored poll. Can you imagine that?
He got as high as 67% in November, and then he fell a little bit, and it was close in early January. In fact, in early January, Viktor Orban took a slight jump in the prediction markets. But then he started to slide again in early February. April 5th, Magyar was at 67%. Orban was on 34%. And
That's incredible.
Orban keeps slipping. Orban is now at
Yeah, look
12%.
at those. Look at that divergence there.
Yeah, you can see it at the end here.
So what's Orban at now?
Orban is now only at 12% chance of victory.
Wow.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I'm not giving it a number because obviously they have a way of quantifying and we don't. But we've said right from the start, right, when you're getting close to 80% turnout, that's got to be an opposition vote. It
Right.
can't be people turning out like that just to say, oh, we love the regime.
In terms of margin of victory, the prediction market now has the TISA party the highest percent chance of a 9 to 12% chance margin of victory.
Well, that's well above what they need to get a majority. I don't know exactly how that would translate into seats, but if there are 12, that may be enough to give them a 2/3.
Right. There's 199 total seats, so you need 100 to get the majority.
Yeah, I think with a 9 to 12 lead, they'll certainly, assuming that holds,
Right.
they'll certainly have a majority and maybe have a shot at a supermajority.
Let's see what the seat count is looking like. It's still pretty conservative. The highest percentage is that the Fidesz party will get above 80 seats. I think that's pretty clear now. I mean, above 50 seats.
No, that can't be right. It must be above 50%.
No, these are
50 seats out of the Fidesz party.
The Fidesz party.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So that would be a supermajority if they only get 50 seats. That would be 149 to the opposition.
Right.
That'd be better than a supermajority.
Yeah, the highest percentage here is for the TISA party. There's a 98% chance that they will get above 60 seats.
Wow.
A 98% chance that they'll get above 80 seats, and an 81% chance that they'll get above 100 seats.
Gotcha. But they have to get above 100.
Yes, but
I don't know why they have those other numbers. They're
because
meaningless.
People are still being conservative in
I
their gambling, basically.
Yeah, I understand that, but they're not meaningful numbers. They're
No.
not going to be at 50 seats.
No,
or 80 seats.
no. This is not that helpful. The
No.
the most helpful thing is the overall prediction market
Yes.
here, which is Viktor Orban went up a percentage since we last checked. He's now at 13%.
Right.
But Magyar is still at 89% chance to become the next prime minister of Hungary.
God, that would be such a positive. A black eye for Vladimir Putin, a black eye for Trump. It just astounds me how Trump always comes down on the side of Putin, no matter what it is, whether it's Russian intervention in our elections, whether it's the war in Ukraine, whether it's support for Viktor Orban, whether it's praise. Why is it, Sam? In all these different contexts,
Right.
Trump always seems to be appeasing or supporting Putin.
Yeah, it is strange to me. I mean, the only obvious thing I can think of is he just, like Orban, he just likes strongmen authoritarians. And, that's sort of his wet dream is to one day become that in the
Putin.
U.S. So he just likes those guys
I
because
guess,
he emulates
but,
them.
I'm not sure that's enough. There
Maybe
are some
not.
smart people, I'm not going to name names, who think, that Trump really is compromised in some way and become a Russian asset.
Yeah, but we don't have any concrete evidence of that.
No, there's no concrete evidence of that. But boy, his behavior certainly, is in line with that. Let's put it that way.
I do have an update. So there
All right.
2 new pre-election day polls released after the polling stations closed appear to suggest a likely win for the opposition TISA party.
Do they have numbers?
Yes. So I'm trying. It's a lot of words here I don't understand.
You don't speak Hungarian?
maybe I should just read it. Okay. According to one of the polls, TISA was expected to pull at around 55%. Fidesz, that's Orban's party, 28%. And then there are a few other parties that are pulling at like 5%.
So it's 2 to 1? 55 to 28.
Yes.
And the rest of the vote is scattered among. Now,
3 different
as I
parties.
understand it, though, the minor parties have to get at least 5%, or they don't get any seats.
Right.
And it may be that their votes get reallocated.
Yeah, they do get reallocated.
Yeah.
So there is one, according to this poll, there is one party called the Mihangsk or Mihazank party
Oh, of course.
that is polling at 5%. There are 2 more parties that are polling at 1%. But even if both of them went to Orban, it wouldn't really matter. They're polling at 1%.
No, it wouldn't matter at all.
Separately, a median poll also conducted before the election on 2,800 adults in Hungary showed similar results, giving TISA 135 seats in the next parliament. That's pretty big.
That's a supermajority.
But just note these were not exit polls. So there were polls taken.
They're not exit polls.
Right. So there were polls taken before the election that were released right after the polls closed.
So they were taken right in the eve of the election?
Yes. So
so they're more accurate than polls taken 2 weeks ago.
Right, but they're not as accurate
but they're not
as
exit polls.
Exit polls, yes,
they're
correct.
Not actually polling people after they voted. They're polling people before they voted, but close to the time they voted.
Correct, yes. But, so, we could see shifts in those percentages for sure, but right now it's looking pretty strong for the opposition party. And Viktor Orban, it looks like he might be in trouble, Dad.
Let's hope. One less authoritarian off the board, that would be great.
Now, do you know anything about this guy, Peter Magyar?
Only thing I know is he's a convert. I think you mentioned, he was
right
part of Orban's party.
Right.
Became disillusioned with the authoritarian bent and pro-Russian bent of that party and left the party to align with TISA. And what I do know is converts tend to be the strongest advocates,
right?
More than anyone else. Once you have become disillusioned and understanding the shortcomings and dangers of the ruling party, you become a very strong opponent. And I think there's no question, under Magyar, things will change fundamentally. He will be much more aligned with the rest of the European Union,
right?
Much less aligned with Russia, and more supportive of the Ukraine, and more democratic and less corrupt. Let's hope more democratic and less corrupt in his approach to governance.
Right.
I'm saying these things very optimistically, but from everything I've read about this guy and his party, they're realistic. They're not just pie-in-the-sky ideas.
Right. This is a $5 donation from Open the Strait, you crazy bastards. They say, why haven't we seen Russian election interference on a level of Viktor Yushchenko since 2004? Why shouldn't we fear it in Hungary now?
There have been, again,
right back.
We're not experts on this. And,
you actually become a Hungarian expert.
I think you should have before the show. And it's not easy to ferret out, what the Russian secret agents are doing. But apparently there has been Russian interference in this election. But as you said, not on the same scale that we've seen previously. And maybe, in 2004, maybe not even on the same scale as we saw in the United States in 2016. But we don't know. They don't advertise what they're doing. And obviously it's not going to be reported by the Orban government. So the extent of Russian interference, as far as we know, is not fully documented, although it's quite clear that they have been interfering on behalf of the Orban regime.
Right. So we're still waiting for any results.
So we have not had actual numbers yet coming out.
No, we just had you need a drink?
Yep.
What do I do with it? There you go.
Yeah, as soon as we get results, we will convey them to you and analyze them.
We have almost 3,000 people watching, but only 700 likes. Make sure you like the stream. It helps us a lot. Click that notification bell so you know we're live. And subscribe. And remember, donators, and members get priority on questions.
Should we take some questions?
I've been throwing them as they come,
Oh.
basically.
Do we have any more?
Um,
And we'll take questions on anything.
anything?
We always do. Yeah, we've had questions on the Dorr Rebellion of the 19th century. Take anything.
So a couple of people are asking about the happenings between the U.S. and Iran in terms of the war in Iran. Big updates last night. J.D. Vance announced that there was no deal made in Islamabad between the U.S. and Iran, and both parties have left. And this morning, Donald Trump has threatened blockading the Strait of Hormuz, which we're a little confused about because it seemed like Iran was already stopping traffic, and now Trump is announcing a blockade. So he's just blockading a blockade.
And we thought one of his war objectives was to open the strait, not to close the strait.
Yeah, but I think still the bigger news is nothing came of those negotiations in Islamabad, which is pretty disappointing overall.
Very disappointing, not surprising. I can't imagine a worse set of negotiators. You got the two real estate guys, Witkoff and Kushner. I don't know about Witkoff, but there's been lots of reports that Kushner is up to his noggin in conflicts of interest. That the very time he is trying to be a diplomat and a peace broker in the Middle East, you know what he's doing, Sam?
Making deals, making money.
Trolling for dollars, exactly. Trying to get Saudi Arabia or other wealthy oil nations in the Middle East to contribute to his investment fund. That's a level of conflict of interest I don't think we've ever seen for a negotiator at this level. Plus, are Kushner and Witkoff experts in foreign negotiations and foreign policy, Sam?
No, sir.
They're real estate guys. And as far as I know, J.D. Vance, has been a senator, but I'm not sure he has any experience either in international negotiations. All the real experts, to the extent there's any left in the Trump administration that haven't been fired, are sidelined. Now, it may not be the deficiencies of these negotiators. It may just be there are hard lines between the two parties, which wouldn't surprise me. But if you were designing a negotiation to fail, you couldn't have done a better job than Donald Trump has done.
Right. The poly market is moving even more. Well, I should say the prediction market. Poly market is a brand.
Right. Just call it prediction market.
Right. Peter Magyar, the opposition to Viktor Orban, is now at 90% chance to become the next prime minister of Hungary. So the prediction markets are really, really moving in favor of Peter Magyar. I wonder if they're also reacting to that polling that was released right when the polling stations
I think they're
closed.
reacting to two things.
Right, turnout.
Turnout and the polling, yeah. Again, unless, somehow Orban rigs the count. It doesn't look like he's doing that. I completely agree. We've said it before we even saw this, that we thought it was overwhelmingly likely that the opposite, once we saw the turnout, we thought it was overwhelmingly likely that the opposition party would win the election. Wow, we're almost at 1,000 likes.
Oh, let's see if we can get to 1,000 likes.
We're only 10 off, I think, or
wow.
I can't quite read it, but we're over 900.
You can't read?
Well, I can't see.
You can't see.
I don't see that.
But you can read.
I can read.
I'm just confirming.
Yes,
okay,
I know how to
can read. Got it. So it's looking promising for the opposition party. It's looking pretty dull and dark for Viktor Orban, but as reporting has said, and as you have said, they may try to claim some fishy stuff. But if it's, like you said, if it's enough of a victory, there might be nothing they can do.
Might be. Although, don't put anything past these authoritarians.
Right.
Trump lost pretty thumpingly in 2020. His own Justice Department confirmed he lost. His own cybersecurity operation confirmed he lost. Every court, 60 decisions confirmed he lost. Every election official, including Republicans, confirmed he lost. And what impact did that have on Trump? None. So who knows? I don't know enough about Orban to know if has quite the audacity of Trump.
Well, how has he been able to serve for 16 years? He changed their constitution, or they
He
just
changed the Constitution. He changed the electoral system. He
Right.
controlled the media. He
Right.
suppressed the opposition.
Right.
Controlled the courts.
Mary McHugh, $10 donation, says, thanks for your Sunday stream. Thanks for being here. Also, happy Orthodox Easter to all
Yes.
those who
We're
celebrate.
big celebrants of that.
Thunder Cheeks asks, should we expect Orban to declare victory early?
Could happen.
Could happen, yeah.
Just like Trump did. Look, we're at 1,200 likes.
Wow, thank you.
That's
folks.
good.
Storm Mage says, will we see Nuremberg-like trials for this administration?
I don't think so.
No.
I'd be
probably
really
not.
surprised.
Um,
They don't want to divide the country like that. There might be a truth commission. That would not surprise me.
oh,
But not with prosecutory powers.
what is a truth commit? Like that's within the United
We had that
States?
in South Africa, for example, that would probe all of the transgressions of the apartheid regime.
Okay, but that would be within the U.S. or no?
No, that would be within Hungary.
Oh, no. I mean,
I'm sorry, you've lost me.
they're asking will we see Nuremberg like trials for the Trump administration? I think they're asking
Well,
in terms of what they've done.
not for the next 3 years, obviously.
Right.
Not impossible, but
But the U.S. is not part of the ICC.
no. But we could still do our own trials. We don't have to be part of the ICC.
Right. We talked about that.
Because, it's arguable that he violated a lot of American laws and not just international laws. Plus, let's understand, the Nuremberg trials were not based upon any already established international law. They really set international law on things like war crimes and crimes against humanity.
This is from Shelley Carter. They say, always enjoy your channel, gentlemen. Normally the next day, but managed to catch this one live. I'm so excited. Orban may lose. It would be a victory for democracy. Was Orban the first one who started blaming George Soros for things? I haven't heard that. Did you know about that? I don't know.
Yes. Remember, George Soros was a Hungarian
Oh, right. He was Hungarian.
Holocaust refugee. And yes, Orban had begun blaming the Jewish refugee, George Soros.
Thank you to Michael E8551 for becoming a member. This is from King of Dublin. Wow, the King of Dublin's here.
I like Dublin.
Don't most parliamentary democracies have no term limits for prime ministers? I know here in Canada, our longest serving prime minister was 21 years.
Yeah, I don't think they do. I'm not an expert on every one of them, but generally they do not in parliamentary systems. Let's not forget, Winston Churchill, who was prime minister during the war, later came back and was elected prime minister again.
Right. So he's been able to serve for 16 years, not because he changed the election, but changed the Constitution, just because it's a parliamentary system and that's allowed.
I can't answer that because I'm not
we don't know
expert enough. But I would say there probably were not term limits. But someone who's an expert in Hungarian politics is better able to answer that question.
I can try to do some research on that real quick. Thank you, Secular Monk, for gifting a membership. Can our legal system recover in a post-Trump era?
Yes. It may be hard. It may take some time. But look, we recovered from the Civil War. We can recover from this.
Right. That's true.
Not easily. It's going to take, a lot of grassroots action by ordinary Americans to hold our politicians' feet to the fire and make sure they do the right thing.
Right. Peter Magar still sliding ahead. He's at 90.4%.
That's probably about as high as it's going to go until we get real results.
Right. Keep talking. I'm trying to research this Orban thing.
Yeah. Sam's a really good researcher. I don't think he's been in power that long as a result of a switching and changing of the Constitution, but he certainly has changed the Constitution. But I'm not sure whether they had term limits for prime ministers.
Right.
As our caller indicated, quite, you say we have not enough callers, as our audience member indicated quite accurately. Most systems, parliamentary systems, do not have term limits, and some prime ministers have indeed served for very long times.
Well, he did rewrite the Constitution.
Yes, he did. We already said that.
And legally, because in 2010 he won a supermajority. But
I don't think that was changed. I don't think they had term limits.
right.
That would be very unusual for a parliamentary system. Remember, in a parliamentary system, you can call elections at any time and get rid of a prime minister at any time. So the notion of terms is not quite the same as it is in a presidential system.
Right. Hungary does not have term limits.
Right.
For its prime
That's what I
minister.
thought. Yeah.
So
it'd be very awkward to have a term limit for prime ministers, as they say, because they don't have fixed terms.
So you and our caller were right. They don't have fixed terms, but he has changed the Constitution.
Absolutely.
But he technically did do it legally because he had a supermajority, which in Hungary allows you to change the Constitution.
Yep. Even though it was self-serving. Hey, he's down to
89%.
89%.
Let's see here. We've got 2 updates on the election. Let's see. 2 polls suggest 3 early questions for election night. The 2 polls, they're not exit polls, would appear to suggest 3 early talking points as we brace for a long wait this evening. This is again from, I'm following this reporter, Jakob Krupa.
Oh, good old Jakob.
The first question that this reporter is asking is, will the results actually be anywhere near these poll numbers? Of course, that's the question with any poll numbers, right?
Of course.
The second question, assuming
it's an unanswerable question until you see the results.
Right. The second question, assuming the polls got it right, focus on TISA's exact result, obviously.
Okay, obvious.
How many seats will they win?
Yeah.
232, 233.
These are not deep questions.
Will the radical right Mi Hazank party make it into the parliament or not? So that was the party that was polling at about 5%.
5%. It's touch
It's
and
right
go
on
there.
the border.
And they'd be an ally to Orban.
Big time ally. The Mi Hazank party, which is a far right party within Hungary.
Oh, we already, are well familiar with that party.
Oh,
right? You're right on top of it.
I'm an expert on the Mi Hazank party. We're almost at 1,500 likes.
Wow, that's great.
We're almost at 4,000 people watching.
Yes, awesome.
If you have anybody you know that's interested in politics, international elections, American politics, share this stream with them right now and
get them on.
Get them on. Have them tune in.
Yeah, we'd like to get 5,000 viewers.
We would.
We would.
We'd like to get 100,000 viewers.
Well, I mean, right now.
Oh, you mean realistically?
Realistically.
Oh, okay.
I think realistically we could hope for 5,000.
Okay, that's fair.
But not 100,000 right now.
Okay, that's fair. All right, fine.
So are they indicating at all when some real numbers will be coming out?
I heard that maybe an hour after the polls close, we might be getting some numbers.
So 2 o'clock?
About 2 p.m. Eastern time.
So it's 13 minutes from now. That's not bad if that's really happening. Any more questions?
Yes. This is from Akram in Philly. Besides throwing around claims of, quote, voting irregularities, how do you think Donald Trump and J.D. Vance will justify Orban's loss, especially if he loses by a wide margin?
Of course they will. When did the 2020 election take place? Like over 6 years ago? Or 6 years ago, close to it. And they're still insisting, not only did they win, they won in a landslide, even though they lost by many millions of votes and large numbers of electoral votes. So they'll claim it was rigged, it was manipulated, Orban really won. And, how are you going to contradict them?
Right.
If 60 court decisions, their own Justice Department, every election official in America didn't convince them, what could possibly convince them in the Hungarian election? No matter what happens, they'll declare victory. Just like they've declared victory I don't know how many times already, Sam, in this horrific misbegotten war in Iran. How many times have they claimed victory?
That's a good question, honestly. I don't even know.
I don't even know, but it's a bunch of times
Yeah.
that they've claimed victory when in fact they're nowhere near victory. I don't think any one, God knows what their objectives are since they keep changing them. But if you just tally and lay out all of them, that at one point or another, open the Strait of Hormuz, get a more friendly regime, stop them from developing nuclear weapons. How many of those have been achieved?
None.
None. They haven't achieved a single objective except to wreak death and destruction upon the Iranian people and upon peoples in the region. This war has not been contained in Iran. It's been bloodshed all over the Middle East, not the least of which is Lebanon, where Israel is doing the same horrific kind of bombing it did in Gaza. Doesn't seem to care about killing civilians as long as they're Arabs.
Yikes. Yeah, we're still getting 0% in reporting so far.
Well, it's not quite 2:00 yet, so we'll give it a few minutes after 2:00. So yeah, of course, that without even blinking, they'll declare victory no matter what happens. This is what's one of the most scary things about this administration. As your brilliant mom, Karen Strickler, points out, the head of Vote Climate PAC US, dedicated to electing pro-climate officials. Trump and this administration, they're beyond liars. They create an alternative reality. A whole, it's like the bizarro world in those old Superman comics. A complete reversed world that they claim is reality, but in fact is the opposite of reality. So they are creating a whole fabricated world, not just individually lying about things. And that's a really important insight and a really important way to understand this administration, which again, while the media has done a decent job of pointing out individual lies, they haven't put it in this broad context that this is a president and an administration that fabricates a whole alternative, phony, self-serving world.
That's a good point.
Thank you, Karen Strickler.
We're back. Peter Magar is back to 90% on the prediction market.
Yes, I think we said, and I said anyway an hour ago, it's not going to go much higher than that because there are always a few bettors willing to take the real long shot, in the hope of a big payoff.
And if you're not familiar with this is not any sort of election results. These are just a betting market on who people think is going to win. So now,
they're actually putting up real money.
Yeah. So this is not any sort of election result, just in case people weren't aware.
But this close to getting results, it's usually pretty accurate, particularly if it's 90-10 or
right.
Yeah.
But again, that's just that. This doesn't count number of seats, margin of victory, nothing like that.
Although there is a bet on the number of seats, but this is just saying that they think that Magyar will become the new prime minister, right?
Given these results, although we don't know them yet, does Vance's visit to Hungary foreshadow anything about Trump or Vance getting involved in European politics in the future? That's a good question.
Maybe, if they're badly burned enough, and they may well be, as a result of their support for Orban, they may back off getting involved in European politics.
Back off.
But given that they don't live in the real world, as we just pointed out,
right,
I wouldn't assume that.
We're almost at 1,700 likes. Push us to the 1,700 mark, if you'd please. This is from ZH2184. Hi, Allan. Do you sense that Trump may have entered his Howard Hughes phase, a man in full mental deterioration, secluded by his inner circle, who promote the delusion he created for himself?
That's a very smart comment. I think he's kind of been there for some time.
Right.
Maybe not as bizarre as Howard Hughes, but I think he's been creating his own delusional world for some time. And I'm not pronouncing a medical diagnosis. I'm not a medical professional, but just a layperson's observation who's been watching politics since, believe it or not, the Eisenhower administration.
No, that can't be.
That can't be, can it?
No.
No. At least, I didn't say the Lincoln administration.
This is a new update. The Tiza party, the opposition party, is, quote, cautiously optimistic about results, but they want to wait for the election results, not polls. That's what Magar just said.
That's really smart. You never want to, base a victory proclamation on polls. That's a
Right.
way to get badly burned. That's very smart. No reason to jump ahead of the results. It'll all come about soon enough. But let me again stress, I don't think anything about the truth moves this administration, because they don't live in the real world. They live in their own fabricated world, their own self-serving, fabricated world, where truth, reality is not just truth, but the basic real world doesn't exist.
You're talking about the Trump administration?
Yes.
You're talking about the
Trump administration. I'm still riffing on this idea. Will they just back off after this?
I see.
Yeah. And explaining, the fundamentals of Trump and this administration. And I don't think it has anything to do with his being in decline, although I think he is in decline. He's been this way his whole life.
Yeah.
Read my book from 9 years ago, The Case for Impeachment, 2017 it came out. I laid all of this out, looking at his whole career. It's not something new for Donald Trump. That's why I was able to predict, even before he took office, his impeachment, because I understood that the way he will act as president is going to be consistent with the way he's acted for the previous, 45, 50 years.
That's a good point. So if these polls are showing accurately, this is a big win for the EU, and this is a big win for Ukraine possibly as well, right?
Huge win for the EU. As I said, he was kind of the Joe Manchin of the EU, the outlier, but because he was an outlier, he was able to exercise undue power. If you want all the EU to go along, for example, on aid to Ukraine, you needed Orban to go along. So this will be an enormous boost if he loses to the EU. They will no longer have this thorn in their side, this Joe Manchin writ large, and a huge boost to Ukraine, since he was the main source of opposition to aiding Ukraine and the main Putin cheerleader within the European Union.
People are mentioning exit polls. I haven't in the chat. I haven't seen any exit polls personally. Maybe I need to do a little bit more research. All I'm seeing is that maybe people are getting.
I haven't
confused.
seen any indication.
People might be getting the polls we were talking about, which were polls taken before the election, confused for exit polls. Remember, those polls are not actually exit polls.
Yeah, I think that must be what they're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any reports of exit polls personally.
No.
Yeah, people are saying there are no exit polls.
No, I don't think so.
Doesn't exist. Yeah, I think people in the chat, you're probably just. There were polls released right when the polls were closed, but they weren't exit polls. They were polls that were taken before the election that were released right at the close of the polls in Hungary.
Right.
This is from Catch My Whiff.
All right.
They say, do you think it's a good idea to impeach Trump and Couchman, J.D. Vance, in a row in November, making Jeffries the president? It sounds good, but I fear it'll backfire.
It'll backfire. There's no way Republicans in the Senate can convict Trump. It's just not going to happen. It would take, 15 to 20 depending on, what would happen in the next midterm, huge number of Republicans to move to convict him. So I was an advocate of impeachment during the first term, but now that we've seen, how that's backfired, I don't think, unless there's something horrific, more horrific that comes out, I don't think that's a smart political strategy.
Yeah, don't forget, Trump tried to blackmail the president of Ukraine
Yes.
in all this.
He tried to blackmail the Pope.
This is
You know about that?
No, I don't.
Yeah,
This Pope or the last Pope?
this Pope, who's been criticizing him, although not by name, apparently talking to a Vatican envoy referring to the Avignon papacy. You know what that was, Sam?
When they captured the Pope.
They captured the Pope
Oh,
yeah,
God.
and brought him to Avignon, France.
Avignon.
Avignon. Yeah, blackmailing the Pope. Can you imagine that?
Nope. This is from Paul P. If Orban can lose, this gives us some hope that our own election in the U.S. will still be free and fair. What do you think?
Some hope, but it's by no means a guarantee that our own election is going to be free and fair. Trump is not going to take a realistic lesson from this election. He's still going to, in my belief, do what he can to try to rig the election.
Right. Like I said, I think the biggest people who should be happy are Europe and Ukraine. The
Right.
U.S., there's maybe some optimism, but
But it is important for the U.S. not to have
yeah, it's true.
this
Orban figure.
Orban
anymore.
taking Russia's side of things and sabotaging Ukraine and undermining the European Union.
Right.
It's important for the United States to get rid of this guy.
Yeah,
And
that
again,
is true. That is true.
I cannot stress how important it is and how the media has not played this up enough. What a horrific model for the United States. And they haven't even just hinted at Orban being the model. They have embraced it. They have broadcasted it. They have applauded this, made it crystal clear that this horrific fate is one that they would plan for our own country.
Yeah, that is true. It is good to just not have Orban as a figure that the American right can point to anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you, Luis Lowhouse, for becoming a member. We appreciate that a lot. We have another question waiting in the wings from Matt Davidson. I don't see Trump as Hughes so much as King Lear, with Vance, Rubio, and Don Jr. as the three daughters.
The three daughters, the thorn in his side.
Yeah, manipulating the king.
How
for
sharper
personal
than a
gain.
serpent's tooth is a thankless child.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's something to that, although I think it's interesting but not, definitive by any stretch.
Interesting, but not definitive. Okay. Gotcha. If you're just joining us, we are covering the 2026 Hungarian parliamentary elections between the Fidesz party of Viktor Orban and the Tiza party of Peter Magyar. Right now, it is looking like, based off of some early polling, that the Tiza party, the opposition party led by Peter Magyar, will win a majority, possibly booting Viktor Orban out of his seat as Prime Minister of Hungary.
And perhaps even a supermajority.
Yes.
We're not predicting that, but that's apparently within the realm of possibility at this point, or at least even plausibility.
Thank you to Bobboy QC for your gifted memberships. Thank you to Here for Today, who says, thanks for an extra Sunday coverage. No problem. Someone asked, what are the results so far? So far, there is 0% reporting
Still,
on the
it's
Hungarian
now
election.
after 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 0%
Polls have been closed
reporting.
for over an hour. Do you think this is an indication that Orban is messing around with the count?
Not yet. No.
Not yet, huh?
No. But I don't know. I think it just means we haven't got any votes yet. I think that's all it means so far.
I find it a little strange that over an hour after the polls are closed, there are 0 results. That's a little disturbing.
Really?
I'm not concluding anything. I'm just saying it does ping my radar a
Literally
little bit.
right when you said that, Dad,
We get results.
we get results. Literally, the Hungarian.
Wow. They heard me.
They heard you.
They heard me and said, "Oh no, we're not messing around."
The Hungarian website just updated. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more into this.
You hear that, folks? We got results, and we're bringing them to you within seconds, right?
Within seconds. Only 3% of the national processing progress. It says 3.3%. So that's only 3% of it processed so far. Already 91 seats to Tiza, 76 seats to Fidesz, which is Viktor Orban's party, and 9 seats to Mi Hazank, which is the far right party.
I'm not sure what this means with only 3%. How
Yeah,
can they allocate so many seats? Does that mean they're leading in these seats or they won these seats?
That's a really good question. Yeah, it must be that they're leading.
Those mandates won.
Where do you see that?
Up
Oh,
on the
yeah.
upper left there.
Yeah. Maybe that this 3% just hasn't updated yet. Because this is the full 199 seats right here.
Right.
Let's see what this says. This says that the Fidesz party has the majority of the percentage of the votes right now, with 53%, and Tiza only has 38%.
That's pretty thumping, but
no, Fidesz is the Orban party.
Right.
Okay, this is a little confusing, folks. We're trying to digest this information live. They also have different processing numbers for the percents and the
Understand,
feet.
it's a very convoluted, complex process for processing results. So this one says it's 91 to 76, but
Right.
the other one says the opposite.
The other one says that it's 45 to 39, with Fidesz at 53% of the total vote. But they've only counted 17,000 votes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean anything then.
That means not. I think this is basically pointless. This, I think, is the main
Right.
updated thing we're looking
That's
at.
3%.
It says it was updated at 1:59. So that was about 6 minutes ago.
Right.
Oh, it just updated. No, did it? Yes, they both got another seat, I think.
Looks the same to me.
I think
it was 91.76. It still is.
Oh, it was
And
91.76.
it's still 3.34. I don't think this means very much.
You don't think so?
You know, it's so hard to know.
Right.
I don't see how they could know who won seats with only 3% in. But as I said, it's a crazy system, which is very hard to navigate. Is there any commentary on this?
Yeah, let me check. 1 second. No, actually. I thought there was some updates.
I think there would be.
The polls have closed in Hungary. There are no exit polls. Magras says he's cautiously optimistic. No, I'm not seeing any major updates right now.
I'm surprised.
Huh.
Good thing we're on the air because
Yeah.
the media seems to be
Lagging
missing
behind.
the boat here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking for updates too, and I don't see anything. Same old stories that we had before there were any results.
I think we're just dealing right now with really early results.
Yeah.
Yeah,
3%, you really can't conclude that. And we have no idea where they're coming from or anything.
Right. Well.
And we don't even know what they mean when they have those seat numbers.
Okay, we do have some maps here. So they're already calling a lot of races across the country.
Okay.
So like here in this Somogi County, there are
what percentage of the vote is
only
in?
7.
And they're calling
They're
it?
calling it.
It's weird.
They called it I think maybe what they're doing is they're calling it, and then maybe they'll adjust it later. Is that what we're seeing?
I have no clue. This
Oh.
is the most confusing set of results I've ever seen. But again, we're not Hungarian political experts, are we?
No. Okay, so like
Maybe
here,
someone in our audience can better
So-
track this.
I think I'm tracking it.
Okay.
I think they're calling it immediately, basically. They're calling the seats immediately, so that's why the seats are already filled out, but they're still very early on in actually counting votes. So the vote count is still really low.
So they're calling seats on the basis of a couple of percent of the vote?
Yes. That's what it seems like to me that's happening. Let me check in the chat.
That's so weird.
Thumbs up if you agree with me. Thumbs down if you don't. If you think I'm wrong, but I think that's what's happening. There's really tiny percentages in, like in this county, Prem County. There's only like a couple thousand votes in, but they've already called it for the Fidesz party leader to win that seat.
Weird. I'm beginning to really wonder whether there's some manipulation going on here.
Someone says it's normal. Europe does it like that.
Oh, okay.
What website are we using? We're using like the Hungarian National Election Commission website. So orange is Orban's party and blue is the opposition party.
Right.
So like, I mean, just look at this, right? So we've got, I just clicked this county here, right? Oh, here we go. I don't know what this county is, but I just clicked it, right? Prem County. They're saying that Peter Takas. Oh, maybe they're just saying that that's the incumbent. Maybe they're just saying that's the current representative.
No,
No?
I don't know. Doesn't seem right.
Yes, that is. I don't know. I can't tell.
The New York Times or anyone giving results?
No, I don't think so.
They don't think it's as important, huh? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think they're just. Yeah, someone said they're just calling who's leading right now. So this is based off of currently who's leading in each county's election, basically.
Basically on just a few percent of the vote, which means nothing.
Right.
Go to the prediction, see if this moved them.
Okay, let's see. No, it's the same. 89, 90%. Oh, it's 90.
CNN, Guardian claims Hungary election live. Let me click on that.
Jakub Krupa, the guy who
Yeah, it's the same thing, right?
he says, if you think this is all confusing, wait till we are going to get the first partial results. As they will come from small rural polling stations are likely to heavily lean toward Fidesz, going directly against everything we talked about for the last hour. So I think we're on to something here.
Yeah.
That these are just very early preliminary results.
That's what
and
that guy says.
They're going to be confusing until it did just update. It now has TISA at 110 seats and Fidesz at 71.
Wow, that's a whopping. But that's 7% of the vote,
Right.
and they just moved it
They
like
just-
15 seats.
Right. It seems like they're just moving it as it comes.
As it comes.
Yeah.
I think we do understand it
Yeah,
now,
it's pretty simple.
but it'll probably be hours before.
Right. And right
They're
at,
coming in really slow.
right at this moment, Fidesz is still ahead in the popular vote with 48% of the vote. But you can see TISA is already closing.
It's
that
closing the
margin.
gap, yeah. And the overall popular vote doesn't mean anything.
Basically nothing. Yeah.
It's how many seats you win that matters.
Right.
I think we're getting close to wrapping up.
What do you mean? We just started
Oh,
wrapping
we've been
up.
on for an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, but the election results just started coming in.
So
what do you
think
mean we're
we
getting
should
close to
just
wrap?
keep going?
Of
Yeah, we got a
course.
big audience.
Yeah,
Why
of
not?
course. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you'll hear it here first because even the New York Times we're ahead of.
Right. So,
CNN we're ahead of.
So this is Kettle Basher. They say each of the 106 districts are first past the post basis, and then the remaining 93 are decided based on the national popular vote.
Okay, so the national popular vote
Does
does
matter.
allocate seats proportion, so it does
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
In addition to the and first past the post means whoever has a plurality wins.
Right. And this is that was from a Hungarian. Thank you
Okay,
to
so
Kettle
that's
Basher.
accurate.
Yes.
Good to know.
No, we're definitely staying on. Don't worry. You need a nap. People are saying you need a nap.
But I don't understand how many seats are allocated by the popular vote. Because they're listing 185 seats, 179, 89 seats here.
So 106 are by district, and 93 are decided on the national popular vote.
So why are they allocating just about all 199?
Because they just did it, and it'll change as results will come in. I don't know why they're doing it like that.
If only like 100 are decided by district, how can they have so many?
I guess it'll change as the popular vote changes.
I guess.
This is as the popular vote stands, plus the districts. This is what the seat total is at.
So they're also allocating on the popular vote. They must be.
They must be, because like you said, they pretty much have allocated most of the seats already.
Just about all of them, yeah. Very confusing.
No, yeah, it is, but I think we've got. I think we've got
it down, along with our help from our Hungarians in the audience.
We're almost at 2,000 likes. Don't forget to like the stream. This is from John Roberts. They say it's really appreciated that you guys bring us this type of contact. Thank you. Well, thank you to you, John Rogers. Everybody's saying keep going, keep going. Oh, what's the website name? The website name is VTR.VALASZTS.HU.
How'd you find this?
ChatGPT.
Oh.
Sometimes
this is not a well-known website, is it?
But we're getting the results first. We might be one of the first people reporting on this.
I think we are.
At least,
I can't find CNN, New York Times, Guardian, BBC, none of them.
At least, especially in the United States, we must be the first.
Oh, we are clearly the first, it seems to me, unless we're missing something, which is possible, but I think there's an excellent chance we're the first.
Right. So it last updated at 2:08 p.m. So that was about 8 minutes ago.
And
right now, it's
still only 6.6% of the vote in.
Right.
Yeah. At least we have a pretty good handle on what they're doing and why it changes so drastically.
Right. Because they basically colored it all in, and as results are coming, in America, we keep everything gray and we color it in as results come in. What they're doing here is they're coloring everything in, and then as results come in, they're changing colors as they go, basically.
Right. So they're actually allocating seats.
Yes.
As if the election were frozen right now.
Right.
And of course, with 93% yet to come, it's going to drastically change.
This is from Luis. They say, remember, based on the Hungarian electoral system, TISA can win a supermajority, which is important to change the constitution and undo Orban's damage. That's
yes, we've talked about that there is a reasonable chance that they'll get a supermajority. It's by no means certain or even likely, but there certainly is that possibility is open.
Right.
According to the polls and according to the betting markets.
Right.
Can't tell from these results because it's less than 7%.
Right. And we only have 2% of the total vote counted, almost 3%.
Yeah. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Now here's one more. I feel like half of this is us asking questions about this process. But hey, you guys can learn along with us, right?
Right.
So they've processed 6.5%, but the total vote is only at 2.8. How is that possible?
I guess they have district results
that they're calling
that
right,
have not been applied to them.
Right, fully applied.
Yeah, it's all very confusing, but I think we've explained it as best you can.
Yeah, and thank you to there were a few people in the chat who also clarified things as well.
Yes, indeed.
Who is TISA? People are asking. So TISA is the party of the opposition to Viktor Orban. So Viktor Orban's party is orange. They're the Fidesz party. TISA is the opposition party. It's a political party. It's considered center-right but pro-European. Fidesz is considered far-right, pro-Russian. Viktor Orban.
Right. And Magyar is the candidate of the TISA party.
Right, because we're dealing with a parliamentary system here.
Right. And so whoever gets the most seats gets the prime minister.
Right. If you are not a far right authoritarian, you probably want to see less orange and more blue.
If you're not, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Another irony, it shows how far they are from reality. As J.D. Vance was going to Hungary to promote the election of Orban, he criticized countries in the European Union for involving themselves in the Hungarian election. How about that?
Somebody in the chat says it's globalism versus nationalism, but I don't actually think that's true.
That's too simple, yeah.
And and people make that claim about Trump too. Oh, he's a nationalist. He's a nationalist.
No.
He's a globalist too. I mean, he's literally in a war with Iran right now because of Israel. I mean, that's not globalism. I don't know what it is.
Tariffs all over the world. If that's not globalism, what could be?
It's just a different, and the same with Orban. I mean, he's just pro-Russian rather than pro-Euro. So it's just a different form of globalism.
You can't escape.
You can't escape globalism.
No.
Yeah. There's no country on earth that is completely nationalistic.
Maybe Switzerland.
No, they're not.
I'm teasing, but you get the point.
Someone's here from Zimbabwe.
Wow. I've been to Zimbabwe. Beautiful country. Victoria Falls. Great wildlife.
Okay.
Great arts and crafts. Great people. I loved Zimbabwe.
Right.
Was kind of upset, of course, by the Mugabe government, but that's another issue.
The state of the play at the moment gives TISA 110 seats, Fidesz 71, and Mihazank 9, with TISA winning single seat constituency votes, but Fidesz marginally ahead in national party list votes.
But that's on 7%, or even less than that for the nationals. So take it with a mountain of salt.
A mountain?
A mountain. I mean, I've never before seen actual results given at 7%.
Right.
It's just way, way too uncertain.
So these numbers can still change pretty drastically.
Of course. And we have no idea where they're from. And I don't even know what the geographic distribution of the two parties might be.
I think the more rural parts of Hungary are Fidesz, more urban are TISA. I mean, you can look at the map down here.
Yeah.
I think Pest.
That's Pest and Buda, yeah.
I think Budapest is around here.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So, yeah, and you can see the more.
It looks like the more outlying areas.
The more, rural outlying areas
Fidesz,
are orange.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Let's go through.
Hasn't changed.
Well, you can. I don't know if you can see this, but right here it tells you the last update. So the last update was at 2:08 p.m. Eastern.
13 minutes ago.
So, we haven't got an update since the last update. If you're watching, don't forget to give us a like, click subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you know we're live. We take memberships and we take donations to keep the stream alive. We appreciate every single one of them. We're almost at 5,700 people watching, Dad.
Looks like 4,700 to me.
What did I say?
57.
I meant 47.
Maybe we get to 57, but we're not there yet.
If you are just joining us, we are following live in one of the most consequential elections in Europe, the 2026 parliamentary elections in Hungary. Now, Hungary isn't the most powerful country in the world, but they have Viktor Orban, who has served, as my dad said, as sort of like the Joe Manchin of Europe, yielding a lot of power because he sits sort of on the border between being pro-Russia and being in the EU at the same time.
Right. He's the outlier, and outliers have power.
And probably the only authoritarian type leader. I'm not sure if that's totally true in the EU,
Bulgaria might be
Bulgaria,
close.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously Belarus is a total dictatorship, but they're not in the
They're
EU.
not in the EU.
Yeah.
No, I think Bulgaria is the only one that's close.
Okay.
Maybe, again, someone in our audience is more of a European expert, but I think I'm right about that.
Right. Someone put it well. It's about reshaping globalism, but not globalism versus nationalism.
That's fair.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Because all these nationalist leaders, quote unquote, like they just have a different idea. Same with Trump. They just have a different idea about globalism. They don't. They're not globalists. Again,
No.
I don't even know if it's possible to not be involved in the global world as a country.
I don't know if you remember, but a few shows ago, I reinterpreted. Bulgaria ranks right at the bottom with Hungary on transparency, 40 out of 100.
Okay.
I reinterpreted the real meaning of America first. The real meaning of America first is not that we turn inward and, ignore globalization. That's ridiculous. Rather, it's that because we have the world's most powerful military, we can do anything we want for America around the world. That's the real meaning of America first. American autonomy to do what it wants, no matter what, around the world.
Someone in the chat said Orban's going to win.
I guess there's some Trumpian in the chat. And we're not calling the election, of course.
No, there's only 6% of the vote processed.
Right. We're just saying there's a fair chance that Tisa's going to win, and even a possibility they'll have 2/3. But by no means have we called a victory one way or the other. You'll know it if we call it.
Oh, you'll know it.
We've called lots and lots.
Yeah, dog.
We even called the Democrat in that Florida Senate election that wasn't decided until 2 weeks later after I called it.
There's also an election happening in Peru today, I think.
Yes, there is, which, in Peru's really, it's a wonderful country. I've been there, but it's in tremendous turmoil and chaos.
You've been to Peru?
I have.
Oh.
I hiked to Machu Picchu, the famous
you did?
almost intact village. Hiked through the high Andes.
When was that?
1986, maybe, something like that. 40 years ago.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Luis says, without Orban's veto, the EU will grow stronger.
Absolutely. It will grow much stronger. And to the benefit of Ukraine, to the detriment of Putin, and I think to the benefit of the United States.
Someone says, Orban is the best.
The best what?
I don't know.
Authoritarian?
Oh, that's a good one. Orban smells bad.
Don't take my word for it. Look at every organization that tracks corruption and democracy. They all have Hungary right at the bottom. I don't care about your political views. Whatever your political views, corruption is corruption. Whether from the left or the right, it doesn't matter. And the people of the country pay the price for it.
Everybody's asking for the link. I don't know if you guys can see the URL is up here if you just want to copy that. Or you could just watch us because we got it live right here. Update.
They've doubled.
They're up to 14% processing the vote. Tisa is now at 125 seats. Fidesz, Orban's party, is at 65, going in the opposite direction they probably want to go. Mihazank has dropped from 9 to 8 total representatives. So Tisa is growing in their lead right now.
They're getting close to 2/3. Again, I don't know what this means at only 15%, but the trend is certainly favoring Tisa pretty heavily.
Yeah.
I think it started out at 101, and now it's at 125. Whether that holds or not, who knows?
And Tisa has officially gone ahead in the popular vote as well.
Wow.
So they're at 47.
They're 4 points ahead.
Yeah, 47.79% of the vote for Tisa, the opposition party. Orban's party is at 43.6%.
So they've turned it around about 9 points.
And here you can see the mandated seats based off of the popular vote, I think.
So why are the Fidesz getting more mandated seats when they're behind?
That's a good question. I don't
Maybe
know.
they haven't
Maybe
updated
they
it. I
haven't
don't know.
updated it yet. I don't know either.
And it's only 6.5 as opposed to 14 on the other
Yeah.
chart. It's very confusing.
Maybe also because Fidesz started with a higher mandate and is slowly getting theirs
That's
ticked down.
definitely possible. It could be lagging because it's only 6%.
Yeah,
as
and you
opposed
can
to
see here the
14.
total number of mandated votes is 93, like our
Yeah.
smart Hungarian chatter said earlier.
Yeah. Hey, we've passed 5,000
Wow.
people viewing right at this moment.
Thank you all.
That's great.
I think we're the only English reporting in the world right now that actually has these results up. I don't know why other, like I said, I mean, even the Guardian, I mean, they just posted this graphic, but they're not showing the live results, even though they're posting live stuff. They're still behind. They're still at 6.56%.
They're behind, and they're not doing analysis the way we are.
Wow, we're the leading
The
Hungarian
leading experts.
We're the leading English
the world.
speaking Hungarian experts in the world right now, folks.
Right. So join us. We're still rising. We're at
Still rising.
5,200. Get your buddies. Get your family. Get your friends.
Yes. And if you're
This
not
is the only place you're going to get it.
and if you're not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. Turn on that notification bell so you know we're live. We just got a donation from Clote.
Yes,
If
we can use
Tiza
the
wins,
donations.
If Tiza wins, those seats on the top left, they could gain a supermajority enabling constitutional changes and removal of officials addressing concerns about Viktor Orban's influence over the judiciary. That's pretty big.
Yes, they're very close. They're not quite at a 2/3 majority, but they are almost there. And again, we will always give you the caution. 15%. There's a
MH70
lot yet to go.
MH72 video says this was the only English report I could find.
Wow.
Wow.
So they need 134 seats to get
A supermajority.
A supermajority, yeah.
Right. 125 so far.
They're close.
Mr. Buckley says, my son was a student of Dr. Lichtman. He loved his class.
All right. Glad to hear. I always love hearing about my former students. You know, a bunch of my former students are now professors at the university.
At American?
Yeah, two
Oh.
of my former students are professors at AU and others are professors elsewhere. What's really scary is the children of my former students.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That's wow, the map is getting
Wow.
bluer and bluer. Is that
Yeah.
a word, or should I say the map is getting more blue?
More blue.
More blue.
And we don't mean blue in the sense of sadness.
Right. He touches me when he needs his drink.
I need my drink.
I know. Give me a second.
Take your time. I'm not going anywhere.
Here you go, Dad.
Yeah, we're up to 5,300 views.
Don't
Love
forget
to get to 6,000.
Don't forget to like the stream. We're almost at 2,500 likes. We're the only English people in the world covering this like this. So
And we're not just showing results. We're analyzing, we're talking, we're taking questions.
And don't forget to subscribe if you're not
Oh,
subscribed.
please. Yeah, we want to get to 180,000.
Turn on that notification bell so you know when we're live.
And of course, donations are always appreciated, as are memberships.
So remember that Tiza is the opposition party. They are in blue. Fidesz is Orban's party in orange.
Tisa's Magyar's party.
Yeah.
A former Fidesz, a convert.
Right. Sorry, I thought you were still talking.
It's okay. We get some more questions.
Let me see. Professor, do you think Dems' message for the midterms would help or hurt them if they go all in on a vote to impeach Trump?
I don't think that would help. You can, roundly criticize Trump without getting into the controversy about impeaching him, particularly since it's not going to happen before the midterms. because you have a Republican Congress. We've also learned, no matter how heinous his actions, you're not going to get, 15 to 20 Republicans to vote to convict him in the Senate. And he'll just claim vindication like he has previously.
Correct. Our last update on election results was about 10 minutes ago from the Hungarian site here.
So we still at 15%?
We are at 14.7% of the national vote processed.
Right.
Right.
So we've been getting updates about every 15 minutes, right?
Seems so.
Yeah. I mean, that may not be linear, maybe longer, maybe shorter, but it is a very, very slow process.
Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more.
But, as Sam pointed out, Hungary is not Germany, it's not
Right.
France,
Right.
but it is pivotal. It
Right.
is the outlier. It is the lump in the gravy. And if you eliminate that, it will have broad international repercussions for Europe, for the war in Ukraine, and of course that will affect the United States as well. And it will be a big black eye for the Trump administration, right, Sam?
Right.
After they've gone all out endorsing this awful leader who's run Hungary into the ground. And by the way, we pointed out how it's at the bottom, kind of maybe sharing with Bulgaria a bit, but right at the bottom of the EU in
Right.
transparency and democracy.
Yeah.
Didn't always be that way.
Didn't always be that way.
No, it's gone down sharply ever since Orban took over.
Right.
This is not irrelevant to the Orban administration.
We just got a donation in Turkish lira.
Wow.
From Semen Bird. They say, "Hello, Professor. I have a question. In 2028, could we see the results for Turkey? Because it's been 23 years since we have had the same government."
That's for sure.
Yeah, we
absolutely.
Should do a Turkish.
Thanks for alerting us.
Yeah, I mean,
Turkey is
2028. That's a while away still.
Yeah, but we'll be there.
We'll be there.
We'll probably be the only English language outlet being there.
This is from Michael Renkin, watching live from Iowa. Thank you guys for being the only ones doing this live. This sets the stage. Sets the stage. Authoritarianism can be beat.
Absolutely. As I said, this will be a huge black eye for Trump and his administration, and a ray of hope for all of us who believe in transparency, anti-corruption, democracy. To see, the most prominent authoritarian inclined leader go down in flames. Those flames should provide light and heat for those of us who believe in democracy and transparency.
Krug is watching from Germany.
Nice.
If you're just tuning in, we are following live results of the Hungarian 2026 parliamentary elections, where the future of Viktor Orban now hangs in the balance. His party, the Fidesz party, is at 65 total seats. The opposition party, TISA, is currently at 125 seats with 14.7% of the national vote processed.
So this could drastically change. We're not saying this represents the final outcome, but it is, again, we don't know where these results are coming from, but certainly in terms of early results, couldn't have been much, much better for TISA, right, Sam?
Francis is joining from Italy.
Wow. We got a European contingent. That's great to know. I'll be going to Oxford in June 4th, to participate in a debate on the Trump administration, based at least in part on my book, Conservative at the Core, A New History of American Conservatism.
It's not up there right now.
It's not up there.
Hold on. You knocked over your mic.
What happened to it?
I just had to move it.
Oh. Do you have a copy?
Yeah.
There we go. Oxford, June 4th. And of course, we will have a follow-up show right after my appearance in the Oxford Union debates.
Right.
Where Winston Churchill
We did get an update here on the Hungarian
Oh.
election, Dad. We now have 21% of the vote processed. TISA, the opposition party to Viktor Orban, is now at 128 total seats.
Three more.
They've added 3 more seats since the last update. Fidesz, Viktor Orban's party, is at 62 total seats.
Wow.
So it is trending even more in the direction.
They're getting very close to a 2/3. We assume those 8 seats are the far right.
Yes, the Mihazank party is the far right party.
Hey, that was pretty good.
Ha.
You're right on top of that.
Yep.
So the TISA cannot count on those 8 seats. They have to hit around 134 seats on their own. They're close, and they keep moving up.
Right.
When they first reported the results, they were at 101. Then it went to 115, I think, then to 125, and now to 128. So the more results that are coming in, the better off it is for TISA.
Right.
But again, there's almost 80% left.
Thank you to Arnold Gans, who said, we were the first ones they found reporting, so they're sticking here.
All right. Yeah, we're almost at 6,000 viewers at this moment. Let's get up to 6,000.
Don't forget to like the stream. It helps us a lot. Subscribe. If you're not subscribed, turn on the notification bell so you know we're live. If you have friends, family, online folks you know that are interested in elections and politics, share this video with them so they can tune in as well. And
don't forget, we live for memberships and donations. That's how we get sustained.
That's true. Izazo. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. They say hi from Lithuania.
Oh, wow. Yes, we have some Lithuanian roots in our family.
Yeah, we do, actually.
Yes.
User Midaloff Doff says, donated $1. Thank you for that. Thank you for John Rogers for donating 5 memberships. Buddha Bamboo says, from Switzerland, they need 133 seats to get the supermajority.
It's 133 to 100, depending on exactly how you count it. 2/3 is 133.33.
So it must be 133, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know how they count it, but it's either 133 or 134.
Right. Do you need to get up?
But I'll defer to someone who's more expert in Hungarian politics.
You need to get up. I saw you stretching your leg. You can get up and walk around if for a second.
Yeah, I need to get up.
All right. Yeah. The professor. Hold on. Just let me.
I'll be back. Don't worry. Stay tuned. I just need to get up. It's been what, an hour and a half.
Oh. He's not used to how real live streams do it. Real live streamers are on for like 8 hours a day. Probably not. That's a good point. All right. Thank you all for joining us today. We are live covering the Hungarian 2026 parliamentary election. The fate of Viktor Orban hangs in the balance. His party, the Fidesz party, is now at 62 seats. TISA, the opposition party led by Peter Magyar, is now at 128 total seats with 21% of the vote in. Let's check in with the popular vote real quick. Where's my cursor? There it is. All right, here's the popular vote, folks. And there are 93 seats based off of the popular vote. 49% for TISA, the opposition party. 41.9% for Fidesz, Viktor Orban's party. So Viktor Orban looks like he's in big, big trouble, folks. Thanks for joining, people around the world. Drop your country in the chat where you're watching from. Your flag, too. That would be cool. Someone's here from Finland. Someone's here from Slovenia. It seems like TISA needs 133 seats for a supermajority, which I think a lot of people, anti-Orban people, are rooting for so they can possibly change the constitution and reverse some of the things that Viktor Orban has done. Germany's here. Czech Republic is here. Canada. Actually studied abroad in the Czech Republic. Philippines. Michigan. Serbia. Antigua. Auckland. Kazakhstan. Ghana. Lithuania. Argentina. Bangladesh. Romania. Sweden. Appreciate everybody around the world watching right now. Wow. Oh, we got a Hungarian here. Singapore looked like. Latvia, Mexico, Turkey, Romania, Ukraine, Sweden, Spain, Portugal, Bulgaria, Georgia, Turkey. Wow. The chat is going so quickly. I'm trying to I can't keep up with all of it. Nigeria, Netherlands, Azerbaijan, Ecuador, Denmark, Poland, Netherlands. Appreciate you all for being here. Don't forget to like the stream. It helps us a lot. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Turn on that notification bell so you know that we're live. Kenya, wow. Brazil, India, North Korea. Come on, ain't nobody here from North Korea. Don't troll me, guys. It was fun last election seeing Allan Lichtman lose his mind. Yup, that was a crazy one for sure. He's back.
Yes.
Quick.
I want to leave our audience hanging. Oh, we're over
6,000 people watching.
Wow. I've got a few things to say before we get more results.
Go for it.
J.D. Vance, Sam. It has not been a good weekend for J.D. Vance.
Right.
Vice President of the United States, who's been falling, by the way, in polls of Republicans for who they prefer for the 2028 presidential election. And this very bad weekend for J.D. Vance is not going to help. Remember, this is the guy, Sam, who once compared Trump to Hitler, said this guy was so bad that he was able to compare him to, the worst of the worst historically. And, of course, what has he done since then? Totally sold his soul to the point where it's crumbled into ashes, sold his soul to the devil. And
yikes.
This has been a horrific week for someone who, in my view, well deserves it. Number one, what did he accomplish in his negotiations with the Iranians?
Nothing.
Nothing. He left with no deal, not even close to a deal. Two, who did he go out of his way to make a trip to Europe to personally endorse?
Viktor Orban.
And how is it looking for Viktor Orban?
So far, not good.
Not good. Two huge defeats for J.D. Vance in the matter of just 2 days. A horrific weekend for someone who well deserves it, who's just sold out his soul to the devil.
Someone just donated Swedish krona.
Oh.
And they said, isn't it poetic that Fidesz and the Mad King in your country, Trump, are both represented by the orange color? That is.
Yes, that is. Can you grab my phone there?
Yes.
That is a very good point.
I want to say also to people watching, you can also follow us on social media. His socials are over here. TikTok at Allan Lichtman, Instagram at Allan Lichtman Official.
All right.
I have my own YouTube channel right here, Sam Locks, Sam LOXQ, if you want to check that out. That would be cool too. Thank you to Sharon for your donation. Let's get back to the results, although there is still no update yet since our last update. I'm
already getting interview requests, so people are paying attention.
All right, we have an update.
Oh, we do?
Yes, they are. Tiza, breaking news here on Lichtman Live. Tiza is very close to a super majority in the Hungarian election. They need 133 seats for a super majority. They are currently at, with 29% reporting, 132 total seats. The Tiza party, the opposition party to Viktor Orban. Viktor Orban, the Fidesz party, is at 59 total seats.
And then 8 for the far right.
And then 8 for the far right.
And here's what's significant. They started at 101. And every time there's an update, Sam, the Tiza party has increased their, these are projected. Remember, this is not actual number of seats. We keep warning you about that. There's still close to 71% of votes to come in.
Right.
But every time there's an update, they increase their number of seats, the Tiza party,
right.
and the Fidesz party goes down. The far right party hasn't budged. They've been at 8 throughout.
Right. But so far, like you said, I mean, it could go up, right? This isn't the final number of seats, but it
Not
could
even
go up
close.
possibly. Uh-oh, our dog Kiko is barking.
Yes.
Um,
He's applauding the teaser.
right, he's applauding the teaser. That's true.
A Swedish krona is worth 11 cents.
Okay.
So how many krona do we get?
I don't know. Let me throw a question your way.
Okay.
I think this is Czech krona. Is Gallagher Index a good argument against the current Hungarian voting system?
I don't understand that question.
I don't either. What is it? Do you know what the Gallagher Index is?
No.
Neither do I. Let me look it up.
I may, I may not know
yeah.
it by that name, but I know every election system.
The Gallagher Index measures an electoral system's relative disproportionality between votes received and seats in the legislature.
Oh, yeah, I'm very familiar with that. That's a gerrymandering measure. That is, it's called the seats votes ratio. So, for example, Wisconsin, after the 2010 election, Republicans won the trifecta: governor, state senate, state house, and they drastically gerrymandered the state legislature. So even though the Democrats, even if they win, say 51% of the vote, they're only going to get 40% or so of the seats. That's the votes seats ratio. I didn't realize that's what he was referring to, and definitely Orban has tried to manipulate that, but can only manipulate it to a degree. That is, there are only so many votes you can optimally allocate. And if you're way down in the number of votes, sort of at the tails of the distribution, the seats votes ratio tends to even out.
Thank you to...
It's kind of an S curve.
Thank you to Tams Tut for your donation. This question is from Gregor Hitchler. Thanks for the stream. I'd also like to point out that TISA needs quite a bit more than 133 seats today because mail-in votes will be counted on Thursday and heavily favored Fidesz in the past election, about 95%. Okay, that's an interesting
That's a good
twist.
point. And we've never said, that they have X number of seats. We've always said these are only projections and there are lots of votes still to come in. And I actually am aware of the point that this chatter has made. I wasn't aware that they weren't coming in until tomorrow or the next day. But yes, Hungarians living outside of the nation can cast votes, and they do tend to be more heavily conservative. That is true.
Here are 5 bis. I can't speak today. Here are big Swiss francs, 5 big Swiss francs from Booty Bamboo. They say, please speak about your field of expertise. Well done, Hungarians. You won liberty and freedom. Europe will be by your side. So they want to know, I guess, people who've never watched before, who are you? What's your field of expertise?
Distinguished professor of history at American University in Washington, D.C. That's not something I made up. That's an official title. It's the highest rank above full professor. There's only a tiny handful of us out of huge number of professors at the university. My particular expertise are American history, American politics, political prediction,
elections,
the presidency, elections, and quantitative analysis of historical and social science information. I'm now working on my 17th book, and I've been an expert witness in some 110 civil rights cases.
Wow, you're a pretty smart guy, huh?
Not bad. I don't think there's anyone else in the world who's written over 15 books and been an expert in more than 100 civil rights cases.
And if you want to follow him on other socials, his TikTok is at Allan Lichtman, Instagram at Allan Lichtman Official. My YouTube is Sam LOQX. Appreciate y'all. All right, let's get back to the election screen because that's what the people want to hear, right? or want to see. Thank you to Gabriella Groff for your donation. We appreciate that a lot.
So we're still waiting for the next update. I would suspect, again, these are just projections. We've made that clear many, many times. But I would guess given the trend, at the next update, that teaser will go over the 133 mark.
Wow, that would be pretty remarkable.
Yeah, but again, these are just projections.
Right.
They're not actual seats.
Right. Like you said, a pretty bad weekend for J.D. Vance.
I don't see how you can have much worse of a weekend to fail. And let's assume Orban loses. It certainly looks like it.
I mean, he's going to
Let's just make that assumption. To fail twice in a hugely publicized event on the international stage. I can't really think of a vice president who matches that kind of double failure in just a weekend.
Are you ready to call
I guess the worst failure of a vice president, but it's not in a concentrated time, is Spiro Agnew, who was found to be a crook when he was governor of Maryland, but that was over many years.
Are you ready to call a loss for Viktor Orban, or are you going to wait a little bit longer?
Oh, I'm ready to call a loss for Viktor Orban.
Okay, folks, you heard it here. Probably first in the world.
First in the world.
Here on Lichtman Live, Allan Lichtman has called a loss for Viktor Orban.
Magyar will be the next prime minister. I am not, though, predicting the margin.
Okay. No prediction of the margin.
But I'm making the call.
But we're making the call here. Viktor Orban will lose, and he will not be the prime minister of Hungary anymore. Unless something crazy, we're just saying this is based off the results.
Yeah,
Unless
this is assuming
crazy.
No manipulation, no cheating, they fairly count the votes.
Right. Yeah, I mean they're in a pretty deep hole right now. Even with only 30% in, it seems, as we've just predicted, almost impossible for them to come out of this hole.
That's why I'm calling it.
Someone just said, I don't think Orban will concede. We're just making the prediction off of the numbers.
Yeah.
We're not making a prediction of what Orban's going to do.
In fact, I just said this assumes a fair counting, a fair result. It's not presuming anything about Orban. Wow. And they've gone further ahead in the popular vote, but still, I don't get it. They're 9 points ahead plus in the popular vote, but they're 11 seats behind. I don't get that. That's the one aspect of this that puzzles me.
Yeah, I don't quite get that either. Maybe
someone in our audience who knows more about Hungarian elections can enlighten us, but that seems impossible to me. If in fact these seats are allocated according to the popular vote, how can you be 9 points ahead in the popular vote, but 11 seats behind?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me either.
No. I mean, there may be something we don't know.
Oh, people are saying there's already an update. Let's see here.
No, it's still the same.
Refresh the page.
Oh, now
there is
a
an
big update.
A big update.
Still 132 to 59.
The number of seats hasn't changed.
No.
Have they?
No.
So what changed? Nothing?
The number of votes is 10%.
Oh, higher processing.
Higher number of votes processed.
Okay, but the seats have remained the same.
This hasn't changed, except Magyar's lead has grown now to 11 points, and he's gained 2 more seats.
Okay.
Or 1 more. I'm not sure.
One
more maybe. I don't
quite get this either, but
he's got a pretty decisive lead, and he should have more seats if I understand how this works.
There's a lot of people from Georgia watching
All right.
The country.
Georgia on our mind.
The
country Georgia.
Yes.
Have I been there? I don't think so. But Georgia is famous for its cuisine. And some of the best restaurants in Russia were Georgian.
Someone in the chat said Lichtman's record is bad.
Okay. There's a really smart comment.
Um,
God, I'm mortified. You caught me. You know, I always get criticized.
right.
Never anything like this last cycle where I've gotten death threats, obscene calls, scurrilous comments, threats, as I said, to my life. And, all of these comments, criticize, and 99.9% of them are just plain stupid. They
Right.
think they're being smart and clever, and they're just like that one. They're just stupid. It's like a third grade insult.
And like, you made a prediction. You got it wrong. Okay, well, I don't get why people get so angry about it.
And, I've been doing it for 45 years, and I finally got one wrong.
Right.
And I explained why. And I admitted it that night.
Right.
Not like I tried to conceal it, like the pollsters do. Oh, I told you there was a 20% chance, Trump would win. No, I said I was wrong.
And there are like, hundreds of different political talking heads across the internet and on, online streamers. And they say 1,000 different things that are wrong, all the time. And nobody gets as mad as people did for you for one wrong prediction. I don't quite get it. I mean, I guess maybe they thought you were being cocky about it ahead of time, or they questioned your 2000.
Which I wasn't. I even said I normally get butterflies in my stomach. This time I have crows in my stomach.
Right.
And I also said many times, I'm not psychic Gene Dixon with a crystal ball. How many times have you heard that, Sam?
You do say that a lot. Yeah.
A lot. And this is based on history, and historical patterns can change.
Right. All right, let's get back to the Hungarian election here.
So nothing changed from 27 to 37.
Yeah. This is from Antonio Ramirez. They say, hello from Spain.
Oh, wow. We've really hit quite a collection of countries.
Do you think that Europe could get its own army if Tiza wins this election?
No, I don't think there'll be an EU army. I think that would be a very, very difficult thing to put together.
Right.
But it would certainly strengthen the ability of the EU to act in concert without Hungary throwing a monkey wrench in the works.
Someone says the best natural water in the world is in the country of Georgia. I didn't know.
Wouldn't surprise me. As I said, I love the Georgian cooking.
This is from Heidi. They say, do you think that Trump will claim the Hungarian election was rigged?
Of course. Of course he will.
Okay, there's your answer.
I mean, I don't know for sure, but let's put it this way. It would not surprise me. Or he may say nothing, but he's certainly not going to congratulate Magyar if the Tiza wins, is he?
So somebody said that this 39 versus 46 result here is the result of the Hungarian version of gerrymandering.
I understand gerrymandering.
Yeah, but I don't understand it in this context.
Exactly. Gerrymandering, I just explained it, is the gap between seats and votes.
Not votes and seats.
Seats and votes. When
Right.
you're looking at a districting system. This is supposed to be, and again, I'm not the world's expert on Hungarian elections. I thought this was supposed to be an allocation according to the results overall of the popular vote, where there shouldn't be gerrymandering involved.
Someone else says that Orban changed the whole system. Look for how the, quote, losing votes are attributed. He's rigged the system in order to try to remain in power. It's a unique system.
It is a unique, convoluted system, but I don't understand how he could rig a proportional national vote system. But again, I'm not the world's expert on Hungarian elections.
Golden GEP says Fidesz is getting more list constituencies because they are losing the constituencies to Tiza. Tiza is winning 93 out of 106 constituencies.
Okay.
Luis says Orban can apply for asylum at Putin or Trump's door. I don't think he's going to be run out of the country necessarily.
He might be.
You think so?
Or he might just leave. Certainly he can go to Russia. Others have gone to Russia. Some of the pro-Russian Ukrainians have gone to Russia.
Comic fan. We talked about the Strait of Hormuz earlier in the episode, so I would afterwards. Scroll back in the beginning and watch that part. I guess this has I don't understand it. What people seem to be saying is that this is the result of some sort of law, gerrymandering law, some corrupt law that
But I don't see how you could
Orban.
gerrymander when you're not dealing with districts. How you gerrymander a national popular vote unless there's some strange formula?
Well, maybe it's like popular vote based on the district. I guess that's possible.
It's very strange.
I don't know.
But if it's a straight popular vote mandate, and let's say it's 100 seats just to make it simple, and if Teasa's getting 51% of the popular vote,
Right.
they should have 51 seats, and Fidesz should have 40 seats, and then the other last party should have 9. I don't understand why Fidesz should be 9 seats ahead when they're 11 points behind in the popular vote. You know, I'm very familiar with proportional election systems, and it should be proportional to your percentage of the national vote.
People are saying look it up. Google it. Do you want me to do that real quick?
You can,
All right.
if it'll explain anything.
Someone said it's not straight popular vote.
Obviously
right.
not.
Right.
I don't know what it is.
They're saying it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I get it, because it obviously is not working like that. I'm saying that's the way it should work. But
right.
obviously there's some twist that Orban put into this.
Yes.
That distorts it.
Let me see. Let me take a picture of this. Right. People are saying I already explained it, guys. The chat's moving too quick. I don't know. Unfortunately, I can't quite follow every explanation. Orban changed the electoral system to favor the biggest party. After winning the district, the surplus of votes will be transferred to the national list. That makes sense to you?
No.
Okay. Extra votes from individual votes transfer to the list, so the losing Fidesz votes become list votes.
I think what they're saying is, and here's perhaps why this is happening. I'm not sure, but I'm just working through this to figure out how it is, although I'm not familiar with all the details of the election laws of Hungary. But it's not a straight national vote.
Right.
In other words, if you lose a district, I'm not saying this is right, but this is one reason this could be distorted. Then those votes go to the popular vote, which doesn't make any sense because then it seems to me to be double counting. But maybe there is a double counting here.
I mean, this guy's corrupt, right? So, I mean, he could
who knows? But that's one possibility, that there is a double counting. And since they're losing more districts, they're getting more votes allocated to the popular vote. Although it doesn't make much sense to me. But
93 seats are national lists. 106 seats are local constituencies.
Right, we get that.
We get that, yeah. The mandates are based off the number of votes that don't go towards the winner. For example, if Tisa receives 60% and Fidesz 40%, all 40% of Fisa's votes go towards the mandates. Tisa's 10%, 60 to 50.
That's what we've been saying. That the losing district gets more allocations to the national list, and that's why this is happening.
Okay.
Crazy.
That's
I've never
crazy.
seen anything like that.
That's insane.
Absolutely insane. But
we have a new update, Dad. 135. The Tisa opposition party is at right now.
So that is a predicted supermajority. If that holds, and we're not claiming that's going to hold, if that holds, they will have the supermajority they need to change the Constitution. That would be extraordinary. If not only beat Orban, but
get a supermajority,
bloody his nose and get a supermajority. What a victory for democracy, and what a blow for autocracy, not just in Europe, but right here in the United States.
Wow. I mean, this is a land as I mean, like it's not over yet, but as of right now, if these results hold or they get better, this is a landslide victory.
An overwhelming landslide to win over 2/3 of the seats.
Right.
That's extraordinary. No American president has ever won 2/3 of the vote in a
Right.
presidential election.
Right. Now, why do you think MAGA has been so Orban focused? I mean, JD Vance just went there.
Put his prestige right on the line.
Right? Did they not know that he was about to get whacked like this? You think, or they didn't care, or
As I said, they live in a delusional universe. They don't live in the real world.
right?
How could they, even worse, how could they not know? Everyone knew it. You knew it. I knew it. We're not intelligence, insiders on, the CIA. We all knew. You declare war on Iran, what's the first thing they're going to do? Close the straits. And yet the Trump administration seems to be totally blindsided by the fact that Iran closed the straits. Everyone knew they would close the straits. Anyone even casually reading the reports, it was obvious they were going to close the straits. And yet somehow, Trump and his advisors didn't take that into account. So their disconnect to reality never surprises me.
And this is a big FU to Putin from the Hungarian people, right?
A big FU to Putin, big FU to Vance, big FU to Trump, and to the American conservative movement. They invited this guy to the Conservative Political Action Convention. He was their poster child of what they favor and what they represent. Not just Trump, the whole damn right wing.
Someone said that your next book should be about the wicked electoral system that Orban put into power.
I'll leave that to someone much more conversant with Hungarian politics, who actually speaks the language.
Right.
Remember, the Constitution is not written in English.
Their Constitution.
Their
right.
Constitution.
Right.
So even if I got the Constitution, it wouldn't help. And who knows whether a translation is even accurate.
Do you know who Gru from Despicable Me is? He's a cartoon character.
Yep.
Do you know who that is?
I'm sorry, what?
I sorry.
wasn't listening.
Someone donated about Gru from Despicable
Oh.
Me. I don't think he knows who that is, unfortunately. There was another donation.
Yeah, we're doing well with donations. Keep it up.
Apparently Putin told Orban to fake an assassination attempt to get more sympathy votes.
Guess he didn't do it.
Guess not. I don't know.
Not such an easy thing to do.
I don't know if that's actually true. Someone just said that in the
Who
chat.
knows? I've heard that rumor too, but who knows? Wouldn't surprise me.
Well,
It's just a rumor, but it's not the first time I've heard it.
Do you have any thoughts on Nigel Farage?
Another right-wing anti-immigrant politician who, I hope gets as much of a black eye as Orban.
Luis says, hello from Dusseldorf, Germany.
Nice.
If you know it.
I have not been to Dusseldorf, but I have been to other places in Germany.
Is it
Berlin, Munich.
Is it Dusseldorf or is it
I thought it
Dusseldorf?
was Dusseldorf.
You might be right. I have no idea.
But I haven't been there. But I've had some very good times in Germany.
Can you say anything in German?
Jawohl.
That's Yiddish, isn't it?
No, that's German.
That's German? What does it mean?
Yeah.
Like hooray?
Yes. Means yes, jawohl.
Ich bin ein Berliner.
Berliner, yeah. There are some who said that Kennedy actually botched that line, and I don't know if this is apocryphal or not. Actually said, "I am a jelly donut."
He did, because if you say Ich bin Berliner, that means I'm from Berlin.
Right.
But if you say Ich bin ein Berliner, it means I'm a jelly donut.
Right.
Luis says it's actually Dusseldorf, so I was right.
No, I said Dusseldorf. You said Dusseldorf.
No, you said that.
Oh, all right.
Rewind
whatever.
the tape, people. He said Dusseldorf.
Okay.
It's not a Harry Potter house.
All right.
Wow, there's a lot of people from Georgia in the chat. There's a couple Berliners here too.
Nice. Not jelly donuts, but
Not
real
jelly
Berliners.
donuts. If there's any jelly donuts in the chat, that would be remarkable.
That would be.
Let me refresh the page, see if there's any updates. Nope. Let's check the betting market. I wonder if that's at like 100% now.
No, it never is, because there are always 97.
97.
There are always a few people who want to, take a 20-1, or now it's like a 40-1 or a 30-1 bet.
Right.
In the hope something strange will happen and they'll make a big windfall. So it never quite goes to 100, I don't think, but it's mighty close. And we called it, an hour ago? Did we not?
Was that an hour ago?
I'm not sure. It was a while ago.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But we did call it a while ago.
Let me update this real quick. Still no.
We should get another update pretty soon.
Yeah, we should get another update soon. I know how to speak some German. Hallo. Tschüssi. Danke. Dankeschön.
That's good.
Someone says that Czech Republic has the best election system. I don't know anything about their election system. Although when
You've been there.
I did study abroad there.
You studied there.
And when I was there,
You didn't learn the election system?
I didn't. When I was there in 2012. They were having a presidential election then.
Yeah.
And like one of the, I have this memory of like, obviously they were like the second leading candidate was like a porn star or something.
Yes.
And the third leading candidate was like a guy who was like tattooed from head to toe, something like that.
The porn star did not win, though.
No, I don't think so. This is from Bjorn Michael Lang. They say, loads of love and support for democracy and the rule of law. Keep up your great work. Best regards to you and your American friends. We still love you guys. They still like us, Dad.
All right.
Even though, all the crap that our government's doing.
Yeah, that's quite the thing that they still like us.
I think that's, a key point of all of humanity is like, your government can be doing messed up stuff, but still most people, the average person, they're still good people in in most countries.
Yeah, and I've made that point many times, I'm a big supporter of the survival of Israel, the Jewish state, but it doesn't mean I support the particular government that happens to be in power right now in Israel, or that I support the particular government that happens to be in power in the U.S. Very important to distinguish between the country and the people and the government.
This is from Shifty Lincoln.
Whoa.
Elon got reprimanded a letter from Georgia for sending out the state this time, for sending out fake registration forms. And you think that's all he did? The election heist of 2024 was suppressed, and I will call Trump's re-election illegitimate until the day I die.
I've gotten a lot of emails to that effect.
I just haven't.
A lot of people believe that. I haven't seen the hard evidence, but a lot of people believe that.
Yeah, you hear stuff here and there, but like I don't know. I just haven't. And like we've talked to Greg Palast.
And he didn't have the goods.
And I've read in and researched Election Truth Alliance a lot, and their stuff, it just doesn't hold up.
No. And one of the reasons I'm a big skeptic, I wish, that could be proven and I'd be vindicated, but I haven't jumped on that bandwagon. One reason is the biggest shifts were actually in blue states, like New York and California, not in the swing states.
People are saying that Orban has conceded.
Oh, we got an update.
We did?
Yeah, it's now over 50%.
Oh, we did get an update.
And they've moved up to 136.
136. Wow, that's pretty remarkable.
Can you check whether, I don't know. I haven't heard that.
This is from Wyatt Hamilton. Orban conceded defeat to Magyar per Magyar's Facebook post. Let's see. If there's any updates here from
I'm looking.
Guardian. Thank you, Hungary. Opposition leader Magyar says. I'm not seeing it from the Guardian, but there are people in the chat saying that
I'm not seeing it either from Google News.
Do you think he's actually going to flee to Russia if he loses Orban?
He's actually going to what?
Flee to Russia.
I have no idea.
Opposition party leader. Oh, no, this is from 27 minutes ago.
Yeah, I don't see anything in Google News or
Opposition
in
party.
CNN.
Opposition party with a shot of a 2/3 majority. We already knew that. People are saying that he conceded.
Can they tell us where they got that information so we can check it?
They're saying according to Magyar's Facebook page.
Well, I wouldn't take that as gospel.
No? I
No.
think it's pretty...
All kinds of things, as we know, crop up on Facebook pages.
Yeah, but from Magyar...
Anyone could have posted that on his page. Why wouldn't that be in the news if he really conceded?
Well, there's just a little bit of delay.
Yeah, I'm not buying it.
What? I'm kind of buying it.
I don't see anything about his conceding. But I have to say,
yep, this is 7 minutes ago from Peter Magyar. Prime Minister Viktor Orban congratulated us on our victory over the phone.
Wow. Who was that from? Directly from Magyar?
From his official Facebook page.
That I'll buy.
Verified Facebook page.
Yep. You know, I have to say, I don't want to toot our horn, but we have been so far ahead of any other U.S. media, or I think English-speaking media. It's just extraordinary, right?
Yep.
There's nothing that I can see in any of the news feeds about this.
Yeah, so this is breaking news. Let me see if I can read this in Hungarian. Az iment Orbán Viktor miniszterelnök úr telefon gratulalt a közélmunkos. Wow, that's a hard language.
Yeah, Hungarian is a very tough language.
But
it's kind of a unique language, yeah.
Yeah, BBC is now reporting this. Magyar received congratulations from Orban. Breaking news on France 24. Orban just congratulated the opposition. So it seems like not only has Tiza won and Viktor Orban has lost, but Viktor Orban conceded. Even Trump couldn't do that.
Nope. Wow.
Even the American president couldn't concede, but Viktor Orban
6 years later,
could.
he hasn't conceded.
Holy moly.
And who called it first? We did.
We said he lost a long time ago.
A long time ago, we called the election.
Breaking news. If you're just joining us, Viktor Orban has conceded the 2026 parliamentary election in Hungary. He's done for.
You know why he conceded?
Because he got smoked.
No.
Why?
Because he saw that we called it against him.
Oh, he's tuned in?
He's tuned in, yep.
Hey, Victor, how's it going?
You're going.
How do you say hello in Hungarian? Do you know?
I don't. I'm sure we have someone in our audience who does.
I'm going to look it up.
I cannot overestimate the importance of this victory.
Hello is hello.
As we said, Hungary is not the most powerful, not the most economically advanced country, but it's pivotal. It was the Joe Manchin of the EU, the outlier that had outlying power beyond its importance. It's a great country, it pioneered the opposition to the Soviets way back in 1956. Great scientists and intellectuals have come out of the country, and I think this is first and foremost a great boon and benefit to the people of Hungary to be relieved of this authoritarian-oriented, corrupt leader. And I congratulate the opposition leader, Magyar, and the people of Hungary for taking this important step. It is a great boon to democracy and transparency across the world to see that, the right wing united behind this guy who's taken such a beating. It's a great news for Ukraine, who can much more tightly partner with the EU, and it is great news for